It's Monday. You know what that means. Welcome back to the Couchside Judges. I'm Dan Urban. Follow me at the Dan Urban.
And I'm Scott Fontana. Follow me at Scott_Fontana.
And also follow the podcast at Couchside Judges. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube or wherever you listen.
But especially YouTube, because we're trying to beef it up a little bit. Dan and I got to get a little more in gear, though, I think, right?
Yeah, I think this week we will. And make sure you read the scoring criteria because we talk judging in MMA.
Yeah, please read it. It's not long. It's really not super long.
Yeah, sometimes they leave out words to make it even shorter for you.
If you're sitting, in the restroom and you got a couple minutes, just peruse it. It won't take you long.
No, very quick.
Yeah.
Do you like
the show could end up being pretty quick. I don't know if it'd be super quick, but we don't have any episodes, there's no fights next week. We can lift the lid on that. We don't have anything to preview next week. We don't have a whole lot in the way of starters. We've only got one event we're talking about. It's not like it's been lately where it's been event, right?
Yeah, we got some time off this week for Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out something fun to do.
Yeah, eat burgers.
Yeah, I'll be doing that. That's for sure. I got family in town. We'll be barbecuing. But as far as taking care of business from this past weekend here at the UFC Apex, before they went into their Memorial Day break, Mackenzie Dern. I mean, holy hell, Dan. Did you see the intensity from Mackenzie Dern coming into this fight?
I did. I thought
you saw this performance.
No. Let me explain.
By all means.
I saw her coming in. Her opponent's Angela Hill. I saw her grabbing her, throwing her on the ground, subbing her. Game over in like under 3 minutes.
And you know what? That's fine. That's something you could almost foresee happening.
However,
right? I get that.
However, what she did was even more impressive because she beat her from pillar to post for 25 minutes.
And on the feet, too. I mean, she was not that necessarily Angela Hill is known as a knockout artist by any stretch, but she came in at least as the conventional wisdom better striker.
The better, technical striker. However, she has pillow fists, and that's not really a slight, but it's a fact, and it's a reason why she's in so many split decisions, because every strike she throws has almost nothing on it. Or
not really
it
enough
has
to hurt the opponent generally, you're right.
It's just a touch. Meanwhile, Mackenzie Dern just throwing haymakers, knees up the middle, blasting her. This was a complete performance for Mackenzie Dern. I mean, I think she's probably going to maybe try to figure out how to not end up on bottom after you launch your opponent with such force.
That would be ideal.
Because that happened twice where she just overthrew her.
But she doesn't really care because she's already got it where it needs to be.
That's true.
And against this particular opponent, she could afford to do that and probably knew that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought this was solid.
Just solid, dude. This is off the chain, dude.
Well, no, I'm
telling you,
she looked great. But I mean, it's also you got to consider the opponent. Like,
I understand what you're saying there. You obviously have a very low opinion.
Well, it's not that I have a low opinion. I think I have a realistic opinion. Everyone wants to put her up like, oh, she's one of the the great UFC strawweights, and it's like she's lost.
She's
12
not.
times.
That's not. I wouldn't do that either.
What she's saying this week about the rankings has held her back. Like, no, you're a journeywoman. That's it. And that's what it is.
I mean, record-wise, you're not wrong. Absolutely not. But my point here is that we saw dimensions of Mackenzie Dern that we didn't expect to see.
If
even knowing what we thought we knew about Angela Hill and this matchup and all that set in mind. I mean, the odds for this one, it's not like Mackenzie Dern was a big favorite. I think she was like in the plus 180-ish range or something like that.
I think the
minus 180. Excuse me.
The closing was it was shorter than that. It was a closing minus 135 and plus.
I'm just remember what I had to type in for work.
Sure. I'm pretty sure that's what the graphic said. I just watched.
I believe it.
So.
But again, that speaks even more to the point. Like bettors came into this fight thinking, hey, I could take Angela Hill at like 100 or plus 150 or something like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Well, it's fine, but again, conventional wisdom at the time for most people was not that, oh, this is absolutely a fight that she's going to go in. She went in and defied every expectation that most people had for this fight, and she did it in a way that most people did not see coming, including yourself, because she still did it in a different way, even if you thought she was going to run through her.
No, speaking just on Mackenzie Dern, she showed growth in her game. She now has some striking that people have to be worried about a little bit.
She's always had power, though, is the
big
thing.
Power.
Like, we've seen some power from her hands.
Cracking The knee up the middle. That was awesome.
The knee up the middle was awesome. She was landing some great elbows that were like as the clinch would kind of leave.
She showed new like you said, new dimensions to her game, and she's gonna be scary good.
I can still understand that there's reasons to be a little skeptical, I guess, of where Mackenzie Dern can go from here, like how high she can really get. Because yes, again, the caliber of opponent here is a little different. Like she looked great fighting down in the rankings, fighting up in the rankings. She's not always performed as well, but it could be a case of maybe the game is just catching up. Maybe she's catching up to the game, I should say. And maybe we're going to see her go on a run. I do like the call out of Rose Namajunas in particular. That was one that I thought actually made a lot of sense because it's a fight that people would be interested in, and it kind of does make some sense matchup wise because we've now got Mackenzie Dern with a little bit of momentum going on. We haven't seen Rose Namajunas in a while. The last time we saw her, it was incredibly boring. For lack of a better word, it was boring. So it would be wonderful to see a fight come about like this. Make it a 5-rounder, headlining. Put it on ABC. That should be a headliner on ABC. I think people would watch that.
Yeah, I'm down for that. I like that matchup.
Yeah.
Now she does this to Rose, what she just did to Angela. I'll say, okay, all right,
sure. And that's the thing. This would be a monster test for her. And even after this, she joined the UFC analyst team, with Karen Bryant and Rashad Evans and Alan Joban. She joined the desk after the fight, and they did ask her about fighting Rose as well. And she did say, like, it's not because I think I can beat her necessarily. It's that I appreciate that there's a challenge here. She's a former champion. So I think she comes into that with the right mindset. And I think that's the right way to look at it from a fan as well as like, hey, this is a big challenge for her. Can she pass that against someone like Rose, who really doesn't lose to anybody but the best?
Yeah, that would be really. It's an interesting matchup. That's one
I like it.
So
yeah, I like it quite a lot. So, but again, I think this probably changes a lot of the conventional wisdom that we had for Mackenzie Dern. We've seen the signs before, but this was like kind of an eye opening, and she just the passion which she fought with, the intensity was there. I mean, we saw some savage ground and pound being mixed in too. That was another thing. Dan's smiling. You can't see it right now.
I can't wait. I can't wait till we talk about these rounds.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. We should probably dive into it. But before we do, we will. We don't have too much to really talk about starter wise. I think we're pretty much done here. But numbers, we like to give the judging numbers here. There were 26 rounds scored at the Apex over the weekend. 19 of them were unanimous rounds. 73.1% agreement there, which is again right on par. That's all you can really expect. That's all you can really hope for most of the weeks. So I like to see it. There were 3 8-9 splits, and this is why Dan's getting pretty excited because we're actually going to talk a lot about potential 8-9s, and we've even got some for the 10-7 watch, which we don't always have. So this is going to be a meaty one for you, my friend.
Yeah, I just want to point out Dern has this. I scouted her, and she's officially on the roster for my team.
Oh, for your one of your guys / gals.
Yes.
Is she the first gal on the team?
She is. She's there.
I feel like you should have. Here, can I make another recommendation for you?
Yeah.
You should have Zhang Wei Li.
Maybe. We'll see, because I don't know what's going to happen if Dern and Zhang fight each other.
But she also went and she beat one of your not gals pretty well in New York.
Yeah. Well, no. I
feel like that should give her points too. But also, she comes out there and she always fights hard. Like she's not one that doesn't show up. You know what I mean?
Right. Like she's had sick finishes, sick fights.
That's what I mean.
And also everybody is kind of a temporary member when they fight that person. So what are you gonna do?
But anyway, we can. I think we could probably move on to contested rounds here, right?
Let's do it.
And we're gonna lead off with all 3 of those 8-9 splits because we don't have any like contentious split decision. We have one split decision at a heavyweight fight. You know how we feel about heavyweight fights, and
yeah, stupid.
I don't know how strongly people really felt about this one afterwards. So we'll get to that after we get to these 8-9. So let's start staying with the main event here. Mackenzie Dern again got the win over Angela Hill and we didn't even get to this. The scores for this fight, which was a unanimous decision victory by Mackenzie Dern. This is like uncharted territory in MMA. This is like Scoregasm. You know the NFL account where they track like the unique scores of games. It's like the first time that it's ever been like 22-4 or something like that in an NFL game, which I don't think that's ever happened, but that would be an example of, it was a Scoregasm or whatever. 49-44 twice and a 49-43. Have we ever seen that in MMA? I feel like that's not happened, at least not in major MMA.
Yeah, but not that I can recall anyway.
I'm gonna go out on a limb. If Chris McMaster from MMA Decisions happens to be listening to this, and if I don't happen to take the time to reach out myself, I feel like he would say, yeah, this would be the first that he has in his system at MMA Decisions. So, but yeah, we're going to talk about this fight first. There's only one split round. That's why we have the difference in 49-44 and 49-43. It all came down to round 1, whether that was an 8 or a 9. So let's hear it, Dan.
Yeah, a really strong round here. Dern rocks Hill on her feet, gets a high impact throw, so impactful that she overthrows, ends up on the bottom, like I mentioned earlier. She drops Hill with a right hand, and then she just dominates her on the ground with position. I do wish we got, maybe a couple stronger sub attempts or some more ground and pound to just solidify it. But for me, it was enough. I think we have good damage and good dominance there. I'm on 10-8.
I felt really good about this one being a 10-8 because I as you're watching the round, it's like, okay, it's certainly her round. It's definitely a 9, and then it's starting to move toward it, and it got very dominant, especially, and really it was her fight entirely for the final 3 minutes of that round.
Oh yeah, no, Hill's not doing anything, but
I took the benchmark
there
of that, and I said, okay, Mackenzie Dern was doing pretty good work in the first couple minutes as well. You add it all up, I thought we got there. I really did. I could check. I think I could check 3Ds.
Okay, all 3. All right.
Yeah, I do. I think you can get damage in there too, but definitely dominance and duration.
Okay. Yeah.
It's
But
not
no,
a high
I think
a super high
damage
degree
is
of
there.
damage, but I think it's enough to get to the threshold. I just do. I really thought we got there.
What I mean by solidify, I mean I was hoping this would be part of the 10-7 watch.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just get that slam dunk. All 3 10-8s. Let's discuss if maybe they should have been at 7 or not.
That would have been fun. Did not happen.
Didn't.
But yeah, so we both had the 8 here. We were in agreement with Judge Ron McCarthy. It was Judges Mike Bell, who usually is the one in the 8 column, right? Although this is technically the majority here. Him and Sal D'Amato saw it as the 9, so it is what it is. But what does that mean for Judge McCarthy?
Couchside override.
I don't know if that sounds off. I'm a little congested this weekend, so
that's why I did the opener.
Yeah, that's why Dan did the opener. It's why I'm actually recording from home. I don't know if the audio sounds a little different, but
I borrowed from AEW.
We're not in the studio.
I borrowed the opening from AEW.
Is that right?
Yeah. They say it's Wednesday. You know what that means.
Oh.
It's a tribute to John Huber.
Well, one man's tribute's another man's ripoff, so.
Yeah.
You decide, dear listener.
Nope. It's a tribute anyway.
but yeah, that was it for that fight. We will revisit that later on, though, when we get to the 10-7 watch, because again, we do have some unanimous 10-8s over there. Let's go back to the undercard, though, where we had some other 8-9 splits. Starting with Gilbert Urbina getting the win over Ryan Cosey. Round 2 TKO. There were a lot of round 2 finishes in this card, by the way. This one was via front kick to the body with knees as well. Round 1, though, before that, is where we have a split on the 8-9. So, Dan, what's going on in this round?
It's all Urbina on the feet. Koshi does land 1 or 2 good punches, but Urbina takes it to the ground. He beats up Koshi with ground and pound from Mount. Good elbows and punches for a good portion of the round. I think we got all 3Ds here. 10-8.
Yeah, I feel good about that, too. I mean, yeah. I guess I don't have as much to add as I thought.
You kind of just beat him
up.
That's
an 8, yeah.
It was like a slow burn, kind of. It's like, okay.
It was. You can kind of understand maybe why it might not manifest as a 9 from every judge. In this case, the out judge was Jaron Vallel, who helped train us on refereeing. He's taught judging courses as well with John McCarthy at the command course. So it's not that this guy doesn't know what's going on, but he doesn't have as many reps as say the ones who were on the 8 here, Junichiro Kamijo and Ron McCarthy.
Kind of think
so you
more
can
of him
understand
as a ref,
why.
right?
What's that?
Kind of think of him more as a referee.
I think a lot of people do, but he can certainly do both. He knows both. It's just the matter of the reps. I feel like the 8-9 is a hard one unless you are in the chair for a lot of rounds. Just watching the way it tends to come up with other judges. The ones who have more experience tend to be more comfortable pulling that 8 trigger.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got you.
8-9's hard, because the line has moved
it's
over time.
Most interesting. It's
Well,
things
it's
I
most
like talking
interesting,
about
exactly,
best.
'cause we like to see when we can kinda get there, right? You and me.
Mm.
But, yeah, I mean, ultimately, it didn't matter. Urbina ended up getting the win because it was kind of always heading in that direction, right? It was,
Yeah.
like you said, it was a slow burn and then ultimately moved all the way up to the fact that, yeah, Kosi couldn't even keep up, and he was out. But, good win. I feel very strongly that this is a good 10-8 here, so
Mm-hmm.
hopefully Jaron Villel can get more reps too and be able to see rounds like this and say, okay, because I'm sure he, spoke to the other officials as they tend to after these fights and said, okay, this is maybe why this is an 8, or maybe he had a good valid reason why this is a 9. Maybe we just disagree,
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, I feel good about it. You'd feel good about it. Let's move on to our final 8-9 split. That was in Chase Hooper's dominant victory over Nick Fiore, 30-27 twice and a 30-26. Round 1 is where we are split on the 8-9. So what's going on round 1?
Really strange round. Hooper, super aggressive on the feet. Kind of felt like Hooper was kind of fighting like, I don't care where this goes. I'm just going to throw everything at you. And wherever it lands, I'm just going to fight from there, which is a style I kind of like. But they open up. They exchange some good punches, both sides. I think Chase is clearly winning on the feet here, even though Fiore's landing a couple, decent ones. But on the ground, Fiore's winning. He's winning the positions. He's just not really doing anything with his positions. And then the final 30 seconds, Chase gets some kind of reverse crucifix going. Starts smashing. They get to the feet, and Hooper just lights him up. Just bombing on him for like 20 seconds. I think damage is high enough to get there on its own. I can see why someone would say, well, no, Fiore probably earned his 9. But I think Hooper was bombing on him there. I think damage is pretty high. So I'm on a 10-8.
So this feels like an 8.5, or a
Okay.
CSJ 8, where it's like kind of in that middle ground that I would feel much more comfortable if I had that tool available to me,
All right.
But I did go the other way. I went the 9, which was the majority score here. Totally get it. I like I said, this is more or less on the fence score that it's like, yeah, I could almost slide either way.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't quite get there, but it's also one of those rounds that I feel like if I had like another minute to marinate, because I try to put a score down,
Mm-hmm.
I try to put a score down the way the judges are going to put a score down, and they don't get to revisit it. I put it down as a 9. I feel like if you have a little bit more time to marinate on it, like I said, you can kind of think about it and be like, you know what, maybe that is an 8. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
He had a lot more, because man, it's a tough thing when you get that. I felt like this was a bit of a slow burn too, that heated up in the final minute, right?
It heated up, yeah.
But the damage in the final minute wasn't like over the moon high damage, but you definitely had that intensity. Like, okay, maybe there's something developing here, right? So it's hard to evaluate that. I feel like this was a tough round. I feel like to evaluate as an 8-9.
I think we see the final damage a little differently, because I thought Fiore was on his way out. Like that. Oh
I didn't quite view it that way. And I probably that's the difference between the judges as well. I was in the majority. I saw it like Mike Bell and Tony Weeks. You saw it like Judge Camijo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get it. Must just be a matter of perspective, right?
It has to be.
But yeah, and that's the tough thing about again these 8-9s kind of thing. I feel like having that extra tool would make it a lot easier. You're still gonna have splits and things like that, because there'll still be things that will run up against it. But I just like the idea of having another tool.
Well, it's a different round. It's not a typical 9.
Thank you. Yeah,
so
I like you using my language here. It was a different round. I'll give you that. I will give you that.
I like scoring different rounds differently.
Fair enough. But we will agree to disagree on this particular round here, respectfully. But we do have 4 rounds to get to that. We're just talking about the winner of the round here. Not as interesting for Dan usually, but I mean, hopefully we've got some interesting conversation around it. Maybe not this fight, though.
No, there's not this fight. No, why?
Dan was not happy to have to watch any of this again. But it was a split decision victory for Rodrigo Nascimento, getting the win over Ilir Latifi. Split decision, 29-28 all around, 2 for Nascimento, 1 for Latifi. Round 3 is where we decided our winner. So what's happening in round 3?
Nascimento, it's pretty clear he's winning on the feet here. His strikes are stinging Latifi. Noticeable effect. Latifi being wobbled, backed up. Latifi does land what appear to be heavy, but Nascimento's just shrugging him off. Doesn't show much real effect to it. Latifi, wins the clinch. I mean, he didn't really do much else except hold him there, but I guess he wins that position. it's the end of the round, I think, where you can probably maybe make a case for Latifi, where he starts landing some good shots and Nascimento's not really firing back. I think that's where someone could say, oh, I think Latifi took it. But I didn't go that way. I thought Nascimento won it 10-9.
Yeah, I did as well. I thought it was curious, though, that Michael Bisping said at the end of that round that was Latifi's best round. He like immediately declared that when the round was over. I was like, are you sure about that?
Not the round he won unanimously?
Yeah. Not the round that everybody kind of thought that the momentum was turning in round 2. Oh, man. Okay. I mean, sometimes when you're paid to talk, things come out that I guess shouldn't, right? But yeah, I'm not saying it couldn't go that way. I'm not saying that a score of Latifi is bad or wrong or anything like that. I don't think it's a big enough round for either guy to get too hung up on this one, right? But I do feel good about Nascimento getting the win here. I do think that the greater damage was done, especially early in the round. I think you can't neglect that just because it happened in the first 90 seconds. Not that Judge Montalvo, who gave the round to Latifi, necessarily thought that, but I do think that was the most significant action of that round, and I don't think it was outweighed necessarily by anything that Latifi did.
Not right.
So I'm with you. I'm with Judges Derek Cleary and Sal D'Amato. So yeah, I think the right man won.
Yeah,
I feel like we got it right, and we can move on, right?
Yeah, enough breath wasted on that fight.
It's probably too much, right? Let's move on though to deeper in the prelims. Joaquin Buckley. Oh, excuse me. This was on the main card. Joaquin Buckley getting the win, round 2 TKO with a head kick. I mean, this dude always lands these awesome kicks, right? Over Andre Fialho. Round 1 though, before that is where we have a split. Everything's round 1. It's round 1 and round 3 all around for this show, basically. So what's happening in this first round here?
Kind of a low output round, at least for the first 2 minutes. It's just Buckley throwing some inside leg kicks and some spinning stuff. I don't think anything really landed upstairs. The leg kicks landed pretty good though for Buckley. Fialho didn't throw much, but when he did, I thought he landed pretty strong. Good body kicks and good counters to the head. He just didn't have much volume behind it. I do think he gets the round though, because I favor the impact as you're supposed to. But Buckley does get 2 strong takedowns. They don't stay on the ground long, but they were high authority, impactful takedowns. So I don't know how much of those are weighing. I think based on Fialho, what he did on the feet, he wins it 10-9.
I think you gave those takedowns even more than I did. You can't just ignore a takedown just because it didn't stay down or anything like that. But I didn't think they were. I thought they were like good, strong attempts. But it's not like there was any lasting impact that I read out of the situation or lasting effect on Fialho from those takedowns. It was something that happened. They went down and he popped back up. It just. I don't think anything happened there that you have to give them too much credence. Okay. But it is a very low output round. For that reason alone, I can't get too hung up one way or the other. I do think Fialho was landing a little bit better, with his kicks, whether they were, to the legs. I think a little bit of the midsection as well.
Yeah, the body kicks is what the ones I thought those were good for me.
Yeah, so that's kind of what really put it over for me was that work. But again, low output. I get it. I did not side with Tony Weeks and Buckley. I sided with you. I sided with Derek Cleary and Jacob Montalvo.
All right. Moving
on, though, this was the fight right before, actually, on the main card. Diego Ferreira getting a monster knockout victory over Michael Johnson. The overhand right, ending it. And, I mean, Michael Johnson was down in a bad way.
He was stiff for a while.
A little bit. Yeah. You never like to see that, right? It's a great accomplishment. It's a great performance from Ferreira. It was great that he was able to get it done, but it's still kind of scary in some ways too. Fortunately, everything seems okay right now. You hope Michael Johnson's doing well we're recording this late Saturday night. Hopefully he's doing well as the weekend progressed into the week. But round 1, we're here to talk about the judging. Round 1 is split. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, pretty good round of fighting. I think Johnson kind of comes out the gate strong. He lands a nice flurry about a minute and a half in that kind of wobbled Ferreira. Probably the best strike of the round. Ferreira is throwing lots of kicks, and I kind of think he builds momentum throughout the round and starts, catching up. I just don't think he surpassed it. I think Johnson landed a bit heavier and more often earlier in the round. I'm on 10-9 Johnson.
Yeah, I am too. It's a close round, and there really are good cases to be made for either man, just because the offense is there throughout. Maybe a little bit heavier early for Johnson, but it's not like he disappears late in the round either.
Yeah, it's kind of like Fajeda just kept, Johnson takes one step forward, Fajeda takes two, but after Johnson already had like a 5-step lead.
Or
Kinda.
maybe, for every two, it's three,
Yeah.
It just wasn't, he couldn't do quite enough to catch up, at least in my eyes. Because I see it the same way as you. I saw for Johnson, but very close. Good round. Michael Johnson tends to find himself in these rounds that like he looks good, but the other guy also can look good. And if this was a fight that ended up going to the judges' cards at some point, you're probably going to watch people being like, "Oh, how did Michael Johnson lose?" Well, because he doesn't play enough defense.
He finds himself in fights where he looks tremendous in one round and looks god awful in the next, and it's like he's kind of hot and cold throughout his entire career.
Round one, he's a round one monster.
Honestly, he's the only one that rocked Khabib, so I'm gonna say he might have beat him one day.
But he didn't.
No, he took a beating. But he's the closest to beating Khabib, I would say, maybe Gaethje.
What about
Or T-Bow won, though.
I was gonna say Gleison T-Bow.
Yeah, T-Bow beat
We've talked about that fight before.
Yeah, T-Bow did beat.
I think we need to do that fight again, though, for Past Judgment. Is that one we need to revisit? I can't remember.
We could revisit that one. It's a terrible fight.
It's not a great fight, but I feel like we need a definitive answer for our show with a good understanding of the judging, which I don't remember if we had at the time.
It's been a while.
No, we didn't. Yeah, we did this one earlier. I think we should bring this one back for an appeal edition of Past Judgment at some point.
We'll bring it back.
I think we got to. But yeah, so we're both on Johnson here. Same as judges Mike Bell and Adelaide Bird. It was Sal D'Amato who was the out judge on this one, but yeah, no one's hung up on it. I don't think anyone should be. So let's move on to our final round of contested rounds, which is Lupita Godinez getting the win over Emily Ducote, 29-28 twice and a 30-27. We're only talking about round 3. The winner of the fight was basically predetermined by this point anyway. Nobody really knew it, but round 3 is split. So what's going on?
Yeah, this was a fun round. I actually did like this one. This was a great fight overall. They just
Godinez, she comes to fight too. Her fights are solid.
They just throw. I thought both were landing pretty good. I think Godinez is landing a bit heavier. The reactions coming on Ducote's side is a little bit, seems like, the punches are landing a bit more effectively. Ducote's calf kick is working really well. I think that was probably your best strike or best weapon for this round. A few more of those probably could have swayed it for me. But I'm on Godinez, and it's not because of that last second takedown.
I think this is probably a case where I'm maybe giving a little bit more credit to those particular kicks and just the work in general, maybe just a little bit more than you. It is a close round, though. I did see this one for Ducote, just like the majority of the judges did. Junichiro Kamijo, Ron McCarthy. You saw it like Mike Bell. Not crazy, I think, to go either way. It also had no bearing on the result, as I already outlined.
I think, in the commentary in this, I think Brendan Fitzgerald is confused on what scores, because he's talking about Ducote. He harps on the fighter that's pressing the action and the fighter that's controlling, in quotes, the action. That's what the
UFC definition of control.
So yeah, he's in thinking cage control and aggressiveness are the main priority scoring, and not effective actual striking and grappling.
I missed that. I kind of tuned up.
It's just a running theme throughout the entire broadcast. Every time he's that guy,
it does happen. You're not wrong.
So it's very annoying.
Yeah,
I noticed it from this fight. That's what just stuck out for me.
Well, we can only hope that maybe they'll have more of those crossover commentator / official meetings where they can go over stuff, and hopefully they separate it this time from the stat keeper meeting. Keep that completely separate so that Dominic Cruz doesn't leave it saying, "Hey, what'd you learn about the judging?" It's like, well, I'm mad about the way they score takedowns. Like that's not what we're talking about. This is two things. God bless John Anik, though. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah,
John Gooden.
Yeah, Anik and Gooden, the two Johns are great.
Yeah, oh yeah. As long as it's John, we're in good shape.
John McCarthy.
Whether you got an H in there or no H, the Johns are all right.
Yeah.
Unless you're Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson's not doing so well, but I hope he's doing better.
Yeah.
That was it for contested rounds, though. But again, we have 3 rounds for our 10-7 watch. We haven't done 10-7 watch in a while, and now we have 3 rounds for it.
Yeah, 10-7 watch is a unanimous 10-8 that the judges gave.
Yes, that's right. It's something we've only been doing the last basically this whole year,
This
I
year.
guess. But again, it's fits and starts. It comes when it comes, and if there's no 10-8s that are unanimous, we don't talk about it.
Yeah, so we'll do it again in August.
The idea, hey, there might be like 3 more next week. Who knows?
Let's hope.
You never know. Well, not next week. Next week's off, but
I said let's hope. Like I'm just rooting for someone to get pummeled.
Yeah, you just want someone to be near death so that we can evaluate whether the judges should have scored it as a near death round. You don't root for a 10-7, but I'm morbidly curious about when we could potentially have one. So yeah, so that's what we do here. Was we like to look at these unanimous 10-8s and then just pose the question, hey, is this a 10-7? Since it's such a number that never gets pulled, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about especially these 2 rounds that we have in Dern versus Hill, rounds 3 and 5. Starting with 3, reminder the judges for this one were Derek Cleary, Sal D'Amato, and Junichiro Kamijo. And this round, we're not going to go too deep into what happened in the round. But Dan, I'll just ask you, is this a 10-7?
I like a 10-7 for this round.
You do?
I do.
Wow.
I really think we have all 3 Ds to an overwhelming level.
Really?
We have very high damage, very high dominance for the entire round. Angela Hill is just drowning in mount and in back mount for the entire round while getting waffled with elbows and punches. She got she got hurt pretty bad with a knee on the feet early in the round. I feel this is a round that's beyond an 8.
You make a compelling case, my man. I think I still say no.
No,
but I like it. I like what you're saying. I do.
Like so. What I was thinking,
I came into the conversation with a no, and then you just kind of started selling me a bit. So I'm still saying it the no, but I'm close.
I will say this. I will say when I was watching it, I was like, there was no point in the round where I was saying we could probably stop it or we should probably think about stopping it here.
But that doesn't necessarily have to happen.
But they got rid of that. But I'm saying so.
But even at that, like we watched rounds that we thought were 10-7s. We didn't necessarily feel like okay, got to stop it.
Yeah, no, this one Hill does absolutely nothing. She's like total survival mode, getting beaten.
I would say there's overwhelming dominance. I would say there's overwhelming duration. I don't know that we get overwhelming damage, and that's where I'm at with that one. That's really the main reason why I don't quite get there. And the damage is the most important. You may disagree.
No, I agree. Damage is the most important.
No. I understand that, but you may disagree with me on whether we got overwhelming damage in this round.
Oh yeah, I do. I think she got smashed. Like just if she did this in round 1, we'd be talking about round 1 as well in this portion of the show. But she didn't.
Well, ifs and buts.
Just elbows and punches nonstop, just bang, 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 bang.
You're getting close to selling me. I am still on the 8 though. I am. I'd probably have to watch it again.
Like this might be the strongest 8 of the year.
Tell you what, why don't we make a running list of the ones where we think it's the strongest, or this is probably the first one either one of us has said yes to.
Yeah.
So this is another thing. We should revisit this at the end of the year. Okay.
Yeah.
Add it to the list.
For sure.
My man.
Either way, 8's the right score. I'm glad everyone went 8 at least.
Oh, well, so, yeah. If not 7, 8.
If not 7, 8. Yeah, I just feel this is beyond an 8.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
It's a different.
And by the way, I think I said the wrong judges, by the way. I gave the wrong judges for this one. It was actually Mike Bell, Sal D'Amato, and Ron McCarthy.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I apologize for that. Round 5. This is another one. Is this a 10-7?
No. I think this is just a solid 10-8.
Okay.
First 2 minutes, Dern is just in Hill's guard, landing, a shot here and there. Eventually, she passes about halfway through. Lands heavy ground and pound. Definitely has overwhelming damage and dominance, but I think she needed more than the 2 minutes to get to that overwhelming duration to get to 7. So
yeah, this felt like just a natural 8, a good 8.
Yeah, good.
It's nice that everybody landed on the right one, but yeah, this is squarely an 8.
Mm-hmm.
So for ranking the rounds, would you say, from most damaging to, or from most dominant to, or let's say closest to 7? How about that? Closest to 7 to closest to 9. For you, would you say 3, 5, 1, or would you swap 5 and 1?
I would go 5. 5 is 1. No, I'm sorry. 3 closest to 7.
Yeah.
5's in the middle. 1's closest to 9.
So more or less like kind of the way it
basically
was.
How it was
like,
scored,
okay,
yeah.
we were a little closer to getting to a 9 with the other one.
Yep.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Just curious how you felt about that. Yeah, I would say I'm with you. I think that's the fair way to rank it. Yeah. But I mean, either way you slice it, I mean, this round, I mean, this fight in general, it
Yeah.
really just, I can't stress enough how, like, it was an intense experience watching this fight that I don't typically get from watching a fight that's like such a beatdown. Usually, there was something to her performance. It was like a meanness,
Yeah.
which belies the fact that, like, Mackenzie Dern, if you've ever spoken to her, is just a very sweet person. She's a very friendly, sweet person. And Angela Hill's very nice too. Like, I have good experience with both of these women, so don't get it twisted. But Mackenzie Dern brought out a different side of her than I think anybody had seen, not just skill wise, but mentality wise, and there was a killer instinct there that we just hadn't seen, even though she didn't get the finish.
She said she had a difficult camp.
She did. I mean, she
So-
outlined like all the reasons why you would be nervous about saying, "Hey, this fighter's actually going to win this fight," from a non-athletic standpoint.
So-
I think, ultimately everyone kind of saw that her world-class grappling as, well, not everybody, but let's say you did for sure, saw the world-class grappling as the difference maker here. But yeah, I mean, she was saying she's going through a difficult divorce, and she changed camps, and changed managers, all this upheaval in her life. But someone who's raised in the martial arts like she was by Megaton Diaz, like, this is like an extension of life for her. It's not something she came to at some point. This is just what she does. So it kind of almost makes more sense that she would be better off here than outside of here,
Yeah.
Well said.
I mean, fantastic.
One more round here for our 10-7 watch, sir. And this comes from the co-main event right before this fight. So it was just beat down for the last like hour of the event. Anthony Hernandez getting the win over Edmund Shabazian. Round 3 TKO. Elbows, punches finally did in Shabazian, who'd been kind of running on fumes for a little while. He did win the first round, Shabazian, but round 2 was all 10-8.
Mm-hmm.
He had nothing left. So the question I would have for you, and we had the judges here, by the way, are Derek Cleary, Sal D'Amato, and Janice Rokromija, the ones who I said before. I messed up. I said them on the wrong fight. That was pretty much what happened. So, but the question for this round is round 2 a 10-7 for Hernandez?
No, but it gets to the territory. It's close.
You're starting to think about it.
Yeah. Really strong round, some good sub attempts, but I didn't think any of those subs outside of the mounted guillotine were all that close to ending the fight. Really good ground and pound. I just think he needed more ground and pound, and I'm probably there at the 7. But yeah, solid 8.
And you bring up kind of something else too. There's all these submission attempts, right? These submission attempts are there. But what we learned from doing our 10-7 show is just how much like those for a 10-7 submission attempts don't really have a great bearing on whether you're going to get there or not.
Yeah, as it's written now, and I don't think I don't know if there's a way to get 10-7 based strictly just on grappling. It's probably never going to happen.
It's not a thing. And not that this round is that, but there's just not enough non-grappling damage that's being done to really put it there.
Yeah, he just if he's just kept bombing on him, yeah. Well, the fight probably ends, but
Sure.
Yeah, I'm close to it.
I mean, it's unfortunate. Dan and I think both agree on this, and correct me if I'm wrong, my buddy, but there really ought to be some way to get some real dominant grappling that's like close on submissions. I don't know that we even necessarily got that in this round either, but I had the thought while I was watching, it was this round in particular. What if you were a grappler in this fight here, right? And in the first 5 seconds, you get to some dude's back and you're threatening the choke, and it looks pretty darn deep, right? And he's on that choke for like a good minute, fighting it off like desperately. And then you somehow transition into like, an arm bar, right? Instead of you step over for the arm bar, and you got to like what looks like a deep arm, kind of what Angela Hill is fighting off from Mackenzie Dern at the ends of round 1 and 3, right? Yeah. She's fighting that off for a while, right? And then transitions to, another sub. And then let's say there's 4 subs or something like that.
You just
and
keep
that's
going
almost
through your
the
chain.
entire round. And someone's just fighting off submissions the entire round, deep submissions. Can we get there? Can we actually get a 10-7 out of that? Because there's nothing happening except somebody being like desperately avoiding getting their arm taken or their head choked off.
But are they damaged? I mean, you got to count that. You got to write that as that's grappling damage.
Exactly.
So,
That's the problem. That's why I feel like there needs to be something in there. This is an extreme case. It's not going to happen. But
if someone just chains sub after sub after sub after sub and never finishes it, you're going to be like, dude, how'd you not finish any of them? What's going on
that
here?
Question too. It's a fair question, right? I'm just playing devil's advocate here. You know, it's kind of something.
Yeah, I mean, no, I do like that example. I think.
Sure.
Yeah, why something should be in there.
In my head, what I'm picturing is so Mighty Mouse Johnson. I was at a seminar. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
That's where I thought you got the idea from.
Sure. I mean, that wasn't exactly why, but it kind of relates to it. Maybe I've shared this on the show, but Mighty Mouse Johnson, I was at a seminar that he did for media members, specifically at a UFC gym in the city 9 years ago now. And I was there, and he wanted to show off something, and he made everybody turn the cameras off. He's like, turn the cameras off. We're not putting this on film. He was very adamant about that. But he wanted to show, I forget what it's called, but there was a chain of like 37 or 38 submissions that he did in like 2 minutes. And he used me as the dummy because I was, of the media members present, I was the only one who actually had grappling experience. So he was like, okay, at least you can kind of know what I'm about to be doing here to a degree. And it was just a whirlwind of him like taking my arm and taking everything about me. It was like wild. It was a pretty amazing thing to experience. But yeah, I kind of picture something like that.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy to be.
You would have, dude. Your mind would have been blown if it was you, Dan.
I'm sure it would have been.
You would have loved that. But that's it for UFC Vegas 73, the very memorable numbered card, but at least a memorable end to that card. Like this was I'm going to remember this fight for a while. I think it won't be in the fight of the year conversation because it was such a dominant performance. But I feel like if there was a separate category for like performance of the year, that like with the caveat being like someone who won a decision, Mackenzie Dern would be exceptionally high for this fight.
Mm-hmm. Be up there
because it was just a riveting fight and an amazing performance. So, but I think we can kind of stop harping on that shortly. Anyway, we did have 6 finishes from this event, 6 of them all by KO or TKO, no submissions. One of these fights ended in round 1. That's why we ended up having 26 rounds, right? So what was your favorite finish?
Louis Glissman over in Prague.
Oh, yeah. So you ended up with the one that I shared with you that Nolan King had shared on social media.
I think that's his name. I think that's
well, he retweeted somebody else's, but
yeah, that's the name that showed up on this tweet.
Where was this from? I actually didn't get to see what event it was at. Was that Octagon?
Yeah, it looks like Octagon with a K.
Yeah, they're a Czech-based promotion.
Okay. So yeah, rolling omoplata. That was sick. That's my favorite finish. But from this card particularly, I didn't have a favorite finish. I just had a favorite performance. That was Mackenzie Dern.
I thought you would say maybe Joaquin Buckley.
That was nice. I mean, no, if I was going to pick one, I would have picked the one with a body kick because he just shut him down, just shut him off, and he's like, "Oh, that's over."
One with a body kick.
But also, Silva looked great over Leonardo, and
Natalia Silva. Yeah, that was a good finish too.
She busted up. Like Leonardo was like, "No, please, no more. It's over."
You're talking about the one you're talking about. You were talking about Gilbert Urbina, right?
Yeah, Urbina and Koshi. That probably would have been up there because I love the body kicks. Then I don't know if you saw Dana posted on his story. Leonardo had her upper vermilion split.
Oh no, I didn't see that. Oh,
yeah, so
that's rough.
We learned about how important of an area that is that they watch for.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
So yeah, they stitched it up. It looks like they did a good job.
That's good.
I don't know.
I mean, the same thing happened to Robbie Lawler and Alistair Overeem.
Yeah. Whose was worse?
It's gruesome.
Reams had to be the worst.
Reams was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, Robbie's was terrible too, man. There's not a good one.
Right, yeah.
The scale is all awful.
Well, at least Robbie's got put into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
so that's true. There's that.
He won the fight.
Yeah.
It's wild that he continued that fight. Like, I bet you there's doctors and commissions that would have stopped that fight.
Yeah, New York.
New York would have stopped it like 10 minutes earlier. They just stopped it before that happened. Oh man. But yeah, so my favorite finish, I should say, was Diego Pereira knocking Michael Johnson sentenceless with that overhand right in the second round. It was a thing of scary beauty.
Oh yeah, that was like I had to rewatch it in slow motion. I'm like, I don't think he hit him, but he fell back like he was done.
So you think it was staged, huh?
But then when you watch it back, you see he gets smashed. But
yeah, it was the Phantom punch.
Didn't like live. It's like, what hit him? Thought he missed by a mile.
No, that better angle. That once they showed you the one where it was like head on and his head turned away, you can absolutely tell like what you're talking about. It was very flush, and he wasn't quite looking. You know, those are the worst ones.
Those blind sides.
Yeah.
Although I
never
think
knew what hit him.
I mean, blind sides when you're a quarterback and hit from your blind side, like your body's loose. I don't think you get too banged up from those. I think it's different when you're getting punched in the face, though.
I feel like quarterbacks would disagree with you.
I think it's just more startling than anything, right? Don't they?
Yeah,
say,
I don't know, man. I don't know what you're basing that on.
No, it's based on. Isn't there a theory that people who get injured in car crashes are when they see it coming because they tense up? So if you see Ray Lewis running you down, you tense up. You're like, oh, you're gonna break something maybe.
I'm sure it doesn't help, but also, I mean, that's more about like neck injuries and that kind of thing. I think your brain just rattles too much if it has no time to brace in any meaningful way.
I suppose
that's kind of what the bigger concern is.
I know, but I'm talking about a quarterback. I mean, no, I think when you're not looking, you get punched in the face. It's bad.
Yeah, that can happen.
It's bad.
I've seen it happen. I just saw it happen. It was Diego Ferreira.
Yeah.
But that is it. That's it for the weekend. And again, we have nothing coming up this weekend. We got Memorial Day weekend. We got burgers. We got dogs. We got chicken. We got ribs. We got whatever's on the menu for us. What are you doing on Memorial Day?
I don't know. Eating burgers, ribs, chicken, like you said.
Like I said. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got family coming, so we'll have a good time.
Yeah, it'll be a good weekend.
Kids will play with their cousins. I'll see my cousins and I'll eat and grill.
Yeah, and then
and I won't have watched probably any MMA next week. And there's certainly MMA around the world and in the United States and everything like that, but I'm going to take a break from it because we need it.
Yeah, so
someone sends me something, I'll watch it. That's fine. But
clips. Don't send me nothing with heavyweights.
Yeah, no heavyweights. Absolutely not. Unless it's a Gogo Plata. You send me the Gogo Plata, you better send me your Gogo Platas now. But we will, to give you the rundown, we've got UFC back on January 3rd. PFL's
June
back
3rd, Scott.
January. Yeah. June 3rd. PFL's back June 8th. And then Bellator is back June 16th.
All right. Maybe Bellator will be under the PFL ownership by then.
Oh, we'll see. I mean, it's been, Dana's obviously now talking about, I heard that they're going to buy. Where'd you hear it? Yeah.
Well, he's got connections.
Yes, he does, but also Dana is very selective about the things he knows and doesn't know about. Like all of a sudden he's like, I don't know anything about that. But then there's all these things where he's like, I totally know all about that. It's like minutia. Like
I would like if he was like, yeah, I know all about that, but I'm not going to tell you.
He should just say that because we know he knows.
That would be like, ha.
He plays dumb too much. Like,
I know
don't
something
play dumb.
you don't know.
Anyway.
All right, that does it. We'll be back again next Monday. We're probably gonna have something a little different for you, though.
Yeah, it won't be kind of contested rounds. We'll do something fun. I don't know. Maybe Pass Judgment. Maybe something else. We'll see.
Maybe an appeal edition or something.
Maybe.
Thanks for listening.
Take care, everybody.